Okay, back again. Sorry, it's been a long while since I've done one. I just want to apologise. Um, just been really busy at the moment over here with things going on. I've been meaning to do a wrestling video for quite some time. Actually, I've been meaning to do a video on one particular person for some time, but I've held off doing this because I need a certain amount of, you need a body of work to kind of look at before you can kind of say something. So a lot of people are doing videos on this person around this time last year, funnily enough, because that's when things started to pick up with this particular person. So the person I want to talk about is Sheamus. Yes, everyone it seems like has done a video on Sheamus at some point, and I've wanted to do one. It's just that I think you need I kind of wanted to see how it went with him over the course of a year, and then kind of talk about what's going on there, and then do my video. I don't really like doing basing something on like a few weeks worth of work, if you know what I mean. It's not something I want to do. Anyways, I want to talk about Sheamus, and I want to talk about my thoughts on him. Now, personally, looking at him, when you look at him, and I've been aware of Sheamus for quite some time, uh, following the independent scene over here, and he wrestled for Irish Whip Wrestling, so I was always aware of who he was, and used to see him in magazines for fucking like, sorry guys, I used to see him in a lot of magazines for Fighting Spirit at the time, so I was quite familiar with his image, and based on his look and the few clips I did see of him, I always felt that would be someone that would probably end up in the WWE, just based on how he markets himself and things like that and how he comes across. I could definitely see him, and also his size too. And eventually he got signed, I believe, in 2007. He had a tryout match during the Earl's Court WWE Raw taping over here. That was the night of the great Shawn Michaels and John Cena match, which is a different story altogether. Anyways, so I always felt that he'd be the monster heel character. That's what I thought. When you look at him, that's what I think. Monster heel, you know, slow build. You make more money in that sense if you're a promotion, if you market someone like that. So Sheamus is in Florida tuning up, learning the WWE style, as they say. He's then called up to ECW, and I thought it wasn't a bad place for him to start off on the mainstream TV. Um, just working squash matches. He had like a mini feud with Goldust, and I believe he had a little mini feud with Shelton Benjamin too. And it didn't really look like, I wouldn't say it didn't look like they were not doing anything with him. They clearly had plans for him. They clearly see something in him. But it wasn't like they were pushing him towards the ECW title, which may have been a better thing to have done that year. And then came that infamous interview with Triple H in Power Slam magazine when they did their press tour. When they did a press tour, I think it actually was involving Floyd Mayweather, and there was a press tour, and somehow Power Slam got an interview with Triple H, and they must have asked Hunter about guys that he sees as being, the top guys, future top guys. And Sheamus and Drew McIntyre were two of the names that came up. And it was very interesting that the things he said about Sheamus, he sees a lot of himself in Sheamus. And he's his workout partner, which, led to a whole lot of jokes about, we'll go into that later. And then, funnily enough, maybe a few weeks after that interview, Sheamus is moved straight to Raw. And then he's kind of rushed into a feud with John Cena. And I was a bit, this is strange. And my opinion was when I watched that match, when the match was announced, the main event match for TLC, I thought because of how they're trying to push Sheamus, and it's quite early, but they need to be careful. And I think Sheamus is going to end up winning the belt. And I don't know. I thought it was way too early, and it clearly was. And then yet he ended up winning the title, and a lot of people connect that with the comments Triple H made and felt that that was a political thing that was going on, and probably to some extent it was, and I wouldn't disagree with anybody. Um, the problems there started for me because number one, he wasn't that over He wasn't over strong enough as a heel, and there was initial plans to have him and Hunter main event WrestleMania for the belt. And the match with Cena itself wasn't a convincing enough win, in my opinion. And we're going to go on to convincing wins, especially with Sheamus, because this is a problem that they've had in the way they've pushed him. So he goes to Royal Rumble, wrestles Randy Orton, and the same thing, he needs a convincing win. And it was a match that was kind of boring too, and he didn't kind of look like on level with the current main event guys. And then he just wasn't getting that reaction that he needed to get. And I don't think he's a bad wrestler, by the way. I think he's okay. He wasn't getting that reaction because they've rushed him into something and they've kind of tried to force him, tasty, tried to force him into something before he's ready and before the fans are kind of ready to accept him. And then he has his match with Hunter. I believe they changed the plans on was taking the belt off of Sheamus, and then getting onto Cena, getting onto Batista, doing the Cena Batista thing for the belt separately. And Sheamus was left in the middle somewhere. And in my opinion, he really needed to win the Mania match, but he didn't look bad, and it wasn't a bad match at all. It was actually fine. And the Hunter feud, I mean, I don't think Sheamus eventually won until a little bit later. They did the injury angle where he injured Hunter's neck on Raw. Then he beats him on the pay-per-view like with 3 of those kicks, which a lot of people complained about, saying, "Oh, Hunter's Superman." Da 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 da. We'll go on to that another time. This is not a Hunter video. Eventually, they put the belt back on him, and again, this is where the problem is. He needed to have a convincing win. So at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and I've got the magazine right here. Anyone who reads Power Slam, they made a very good point, and they said that Sheamus needs convincing wins. He also needs to be in with the right kind of opponents. And Cena's, the way the match was booked and it was presented, it wasn't a strong, convincing win, and I think that hurt his credibility. And then the same thing happened when he feuded with Randy Orton at SummerSlam. Again, he needed a strong and convincing win, and that didn't happen. And I think those are things that you need to have. I thought they went wrong because they rushed him into a spot. They haven't set up the right opponents. To me, it looked like this. This is how the plan looked. Oh shit, we've put the belt on Sheamus, what do we do next? Instead of, we've got the belt on Sheamus, these are our plans for the next 6 months. It looked like something that was very, very rushed. To me, it would have been better off if they had... Look how Umaga was pushed as a monster heel. That same kind of method I would have used with Sheamus. Let him destroy jobbers on Raw, then wrestle a superstar, a WWE star on pay-per-view, and do this over the course of a year. Let him build himself up, because we do need a monster heel in wrestling, and I think Sheamus you could have used in that role to an extent. Let him build himself up, let fans get used to him, let fans eventually accept him. Keep him away from certain people for the time being. Keep him away from the Cenas and the Ortons right away. And then eventually you get to a point where you can put him in main events so that when he wrestles an Orton or a Cena, that is far more intriguing for people to see, because you have this unbeaten monster against the established main event star, and you can't predict the outcome, so that makes people want to watch, and you can't predict the outcome, and it interests you enough to want to take your wallet and pay to see what's going to happen. That would have been a far better method. And now you look at what Sheamus is doing now, he's just kind of stuck in the middle again. And he's feuding with Santino and John Morrison. And realistically, this isn't where he should be. If they'd followed that method, the Monster Hill method, maybe it would have helped him. To me, again, this is a problem with the WWE. They want to make a quick buck. I understand they're a business, but what about the long-term storytelling plan which draws money, and the long-term build, and the slow approach to, that guarantee that works. It's not a broken concept, it works. Anyways, I mean, that's just my opinion on something that a lot of people have talked about. I'm sure everyone wants to make Sheamus jokes and Hunter jokes about his current direction right now. Perhaps he was late to the gym and that's why he's losing to Santino or something. But who knows? Anyways, I'm gonna get going. Let me know what you think of this, wrestling fans. Uh, how do you think Sheamus has been used over the last year? What do you think of him? I know a lot of people actually seem to despise him on YouTube, which is quite interesting. Um, do you think they should have taken a different direction with him? Do you think it was rushed? And where do you see him going in the future? Anyways, that is all I am going to do for now. I've got a lot of videos planned for the next week, so I'm gonna sign off now. Uh, Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll be back. I'm doing an MMA video next. See you in a bit.